Bobrovsky and Mikko Koskinen have been two of the best goaltenders in this World Championship so far. And now, here in Moscow, the host Russians will take on the undefeated Finns for the right to play for the gold medal in the 2016 World Hockey Championship tomorrow night.
Two of the best defensive teams in the tournament. The Finns have given up just 7 goals in their 8 games. Russia's given up 4 goals in their last 6.
And a raucous ice palace here in Moscow. Back to pick it up is Juuso Hietanen, and he is now Finland's leader in ice time per game. Taking over from Esa Lindell. Played down by Topi Jakala. Swung around to Alexei Yemelin, and Yemelin feeds it ahead to Alexander Ovechkin. Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Dmitry Orlov arrived here after the Washington Capitals were knocked out of their playoff series. As Mikko Koivu brings it ahead. But they're not the story here, as Koivu was knocked out. Got a Czech and a Slovak referee today. Martin Frenel of the Czech Republic, Josef Kubas out of Slovakia. Nikita Zaitsev, who will join the Toronto Maple Leafs next year, fires it down the ice, and there's an icing call against the Russians in an absolute din of noise in this arena.
What a cool, beautiful building. This is just 1 year old. As we look at the coaches, Oleg Zarnok has been a long-time coach in Russia and in Latvia, where he coached their national team, and Kari Alonen for his 2nd World Championship for the Finns.
Finns beat the Russians in a shootout last year in the preliminary round. The Russians beat the Finns in a hotly contested gold medal game in 2014, one in which the Finns felt infuriated by the way the refereeing went, as often happens in international hockey. Tommy Kivisto, late ad for the Finns, plays it back across. You'll hear the chant, Shaibu, Shaibu. It's hard to translate it directly. It means go shoot the puck, basically, in layman's terms. Shot in by Stepan Sanikov.
Here's the big Russian line, the most dynamic of their group, with Panarin with the puck.
Shipachyov with the steal, knocked away from him. Shipachyov, the runaway leader in the tournament scoring race.
Panarin and Dadonov, 63. They have scored 15 of the Russians' 36 goals in this tournament.
Maxim Chudinov, long shot, taken easily by Mikko Koskinen. Now another chance in front, just missing on that. Was Dadonov. Loose behind the goal now is Panarin. Artemi Panarin, the Chicago Blackhawks. Red rink wide, Anton Belov, a long shot, gets through. And Mikko Koskinen makes the save.
The Russians really use the width of the ice here as Dadonov goes all the way across the ice. That's a 100-foot pass across the blue line to Belov. Belov's had an excellent tournament. We know him from the 1 year in Edmonton that he played, but he's come back to the KHL, signed a 4-year deal. Has 2 goals in the tournament.
Off the face-off, one wide of the finished goal, and racing back to pick it up is Hietanen. Finns are the home team in this game, have the last change, as it's brought in by Antti Pilström. Knocked away there by Sergei Kalinin of the New Jersey Devils, and it's back down to the finish line. Hietanen. Finns have shown more of a propensity to match defense pairs than forward lines, but we'll see in this much tougher matchup here. We said they have yet to trail in the game in this tournament. Lyubimov brings it in now for the Russians. Shoots it, deflects wide off Jakala. Mikko Rantanen races to it, knocked away from him by Alexei Marchenko of the Detroit Red Wings. He's taken in hard, and Marchenko stays on it. Plays it down to Ivan Telegin. He and Kuznetsov trying to find it. Telegin pulls it out, centers it, tip right on goal, rebound, score! Sergei Shirokov gives the Russians a 1-0 lead less than 3 minutes in.
Ivan Telegin does all the work on the board. He's had an excellent tournament. And he's going to take the puck out of the corner, and Shirokov walks into the box and is unattended. The Finns are looking at the puck. Nobody picks Shirokov up here. He dances past Antti Pilström. The rebound off the Koskinen save. The Russians have had the puck for 3 minutes and now lead 1-0.
So the Finns trail for the first time. Shirokov, a former Vancouver Canucks spent parts of 2 seasons with them. Was a 6th-round pick back in 2006. The Russians have taken the early lead.
Alexei Marchenko got into the forecheck. He pinched way down into the zone. Telegin takes the puck off the wall and finds Shirokov wide open in the middle of the box, and it's 1-0.
So now how do the Finns deal with this first bit of real adversity in this World Championship?
Well, the first 10 minutes, they better be careful. They're going to get punched out of the game here. They haven't had a second to zone time, and where the Finns have been really good is controlling the puck in the offensive zone in this tournament.
Bobrovsky handles that shot from Koivu easily, slid ahead to Ovechkin. In comes Alexander Ovechkin along with Kuznetsov. A rink wide pass, knocked away by Koivu. Into the corner it goes, and Billy Polka back to pick it up. Takes a whack there from Stefan Sanikov. And Ovechkin digs it out. This arena opened last year. Seats about 12,000, sounds like 22,000.
It is built with one of the steepest pitches you will ever see. This is like the old rinks in North America, Gord. You compared it to the odd in Buffalo, but this top section is hanging right over top of the ice.
You could fall out of these seats and land on the ice.
Beautiful building.
Picked up by Patrick Laine. Laine, the 18-year-old with 7 goals in 8 games in this World Championship. Now moved ahead by Mosiakin. Sergei Mosiakin, who won a Russian League title with Magnitogorsk this year.
Led the KHL in scoring as well at age 35.
You'll see Jokinen tries to slide that back, and Topi Jakola back to pick it up. Rick wide for Laine. Scored 4 goals in his first 2 games in this World Championship. Alexei Emelin gains center ice, fires it down, and it bounces off the glass and out.
Sergei Shirokov has got 3 goals in the tournament. This is his 3rd one. He came right down Main Street. The Finns were caught spread wide. That's an excellent pass from Telegin onto the tape of Shirokov. The first shot is stopped. This rebound sits nicely. And Russia leads 1-0 just 3 minutes in. The Finns have really had a difficult time getting to the puck so far.
And Ray, you talked about it throughout this tournament, how good Finland has been defensively. They've not allowed more than 17 shots in a game. They've not allowed more than 2 goals in a game. The closest anyone came was the United States, 2-2 with them in the 3rd period. And the Finns scored a power play goal to break it open, but they've got a much different test in their hands now.
They've given up 10 shots in 1 period of the whole tournament. They've already given up 5 in the first 5 minutes.
Sebastian Aho worked on there by Dmitry Orlov, the 3rd member of that Caps troika. And Panarin has it back in his pocket, picked by Koskarainen.
When we saw Panarin for the first time last year at the World Championship, we were dazzled with his skill and how confident he was with the puck. Maybe no surprise, Patrick Kane had his best season offensively with Panarin showing up in Chicago.
Now Telegin digging for it. Telegin comes in on Lindell. And Telegin works the puck free again, but Lindell steals it back for the Finns. Played down, but it down up. Telegin in, shoots, but then it high.
Out of that same corner twice, Ivan Telegin gets in on the forecheck and creates an offensive chance. It was Shirokov's goal first. This, he takes the pass and dodges to the front of the net. The 101st pick of the 2010 draft by Atlanta. He plays a North American game. He was under some distress a couple of years ago. He missed almost an entire season with a holdout, a suspension. His contract was disallowed before he finally got back on the ice and had a severe concussion that pretty much wiped out his year.
Played for Saginaw and Barrie in the Ontario Hockey League. Now brought in a long shot, tipped high by Ati Otama. 13:49 to go in the opening period. Russia has a 1-0 lead on Finland. Back here at the Ice Palace in Moscow, the first of 2 semifinals today. Later on, Canada will take on the United States.
They're not shy to crank this sound system up. The warm-up tunes just about blasted us out of the stadium.
Not sure about a hockey game, the circus, or the opera. A combination of all three. Face-off wasn't done fairly. It's going to be hard to hear whistles, and players have talked about that here.
I don't know if you can see it on television, but there is a spinning star that goes around the dot that's about to have the puck dropped on it, and it actually looks kind of cool. Another difference from home to here.
Evelyn fires it down, and racing to it is Kavisto. They're bumped along the wall. And to hold it there is Kuznetsov. Force free. Voinov with a quick pass across. Ovechkin turned away by Mikko Koskinen. Ovechkin scored his first goal in the World Championship against Germany in the quarters.
That's a really good stop here as Slava Voinov finds Ovechkin, and Koskinen has to spread out that 6'7" frame to make the save. The Finns better get going here. They're not exactly weathering the storm. They haven't really touched the puck in the first 6.5 minutes. It's been a quiet tournament for Ovechkin. Played the 4 games, you see 1 goal and 1 assist.
And now Pavel Datsyuk steps in for the face-off. Datsyuk, the 37-year-old legend, has been cheered at every turn here. Shades of last year in Prague when Jaromir Jagr basked in the glow of his home country. And now Barkov trying to move it out and slides it back to the Russian zone. That's an icing call against the Finns.
Really difficult to settle your game down, and Jussi Jokinen is a player that can really help a younger guy like Patrik Laine. The Finns haven't been able to string together a couple of passes, and when that happens, when you're just chipping the puck out of the zone, you tend to be in a panic the whole time. You don't have any confidence coming up the ice. There was a needless icing call for the Finns as they try to get through this first 10 or 12 minutes.
Now tip right towards Koskinen, knocks that away. The shots are 6-0 in favor of Russia. And Zaitsev back to pick it up, the 24-year-old who played in Moscow at CSKA in the building downtown. This will be the new home of Moscow Dynamo. As Barkov picks it up, it is the new home of Moscow Dynamo. Fired around now by Sanikov. Topi-Jakala with it. Playing at home hasn't always been kind to the Russians, as we saw at the Sochi Olympics. And now a huge hit there by Chudinov as he takes down Barkov, and Barkov back in the lineup after missing the quarterfinal against Denmark. Brought in, Panarin feeds it across. Great save by Koskinen. As jumping in was Zadonov, turned away by the Finnish netminder.
There's that top Russian line there. Most dangerous trio in the tournament. Shipachev gets the puck to Panarin in the middle. He looks like he's going to shoot it, but he snaps the pass across to Dadonov. Played in the National Hockey League for Florida, has 55 NHL games to his credit. But he had 23 goals. This is 4th year in St. Petersburg.
Now Shipachev in for the faceoff, knocked away there by Koskaranta. The Finns still did not have a shot on goal. Now knocked down the line by Marchenko as he finds Panarin. Panarin for Dadonov. Into the corner for Shipachev. Centers it, and that pass picked off by Esa Lindell. Quickly goes ahead to Sebastian Aho. Aho back in front for Koskaranta, skipped away from him, and Pierala has it back for the Finns. Finland has 3 members of their 2016 World Junior Championship on this World Championship roster. Sebastian Aho, along with Patrik Laine and Mikko Rantanen. Finland has won the under-18 and under-20 tournaments in the IHF so far. No nation has won the under-18s World Junior World Championship in the same year. Slava Voinov plays it across for Alexei Yemelin. Rink wide he goes. And it's backhanded down by Lyubimov. With Telegan. Lyubimov looking for it. Got tied up there by Kavisto, but now it's pulled ahead again by Lyubimov. For Telegan. Feeds it back. Kalinin feeds it across. Yemelin the shot that was blocked As Rantanen got in the way. And now Finland's Tommy Salonen spins back as both teams will change. Just over 11 minutes to go here in the opening period. Topi Jääkelä in, shoots. That's deflected high by Voinov, and the Finns still don't have a shot on goal.
It's going to be really difficult for them to get the puck out of their zone as the Russians attack onto the forecheck, but their third guy, Gord, is standing about 4 feet inside the blue line. It's almost like 3 men straight across the blue line. If the Finns don't complete a couple of short passes, that's going to allow the Russians to really control where the play goes, what direction it goes to. It's been really effective 9 minutes in.
Koivu for the face-off against Kuznetsov and wins it. Leo Komarov, who's been terrific for the Finns from day one of this tournament. Plays it back in the corner for Koivu. Granlund comes in to help out. Mikko Koivu spins that back at the blue line for Topi Jääkelä. His pass, though, draws Hietanen out. And he had Chirikov closing in on him quickly. Moved ahead by Hietanen. Now Komarov picks it up in the corner. Leo Komarov down to Koivu. He gets loose. Mikko Koivu crisscrossing there with Granlund. Koivu pulls it back in front. I think that got through. It hit Granlund, and now Koivu has it. Kyle Granlund steps away from Kuznetsov. Trying to pull it through. Granlund has a point in every game for the Finns. Moved around by Ovechkin. Rink wide pass broken up by Lindell. Ville Polka feeds it across to Lindell, the Dallas Stars prospect. Up ahead to Jussi Jokinen. Jokinen tries to wind in. He was poke checked. Lindell comes in, fires. It goes off the leg of Datsuk.
Halfway through the period, 7-0 in shots for the Russians.
A long lead pass finds Datsuk. Busting it with Sanikov. Datsuk in, shoots. It's off the stick of Polka. Up and out of play.
There is Pavel Datsuk, who is, as you mentioned, cheered at just about every turn here in Russia. 953 games, 918 points in Detroit, and has long been my favorite player to watch in the National Hockey League. I just love everything that he does about the game, the way he attacks the puck, takes it back, tricks people into thinking he's got no room, and just a wonderful player.
4-time winner of the Lady Byng Trophy as the NHL's most gentlemanly player. 3-time winner of the Frank Selke as the NHL's top defensive forward. And it would appear, as the penalty is being called here, the first call of the game will go against the Russians. And so the Finns will get the power play 9.5 minutes into the opening period as Artemi Panarin goes off.
Well, for the Finns, this is a gift power play to get. We've mentioned a couple times that they don't have a shot on goal. There's the hook from Panarin on Esa Lindell. So the Finnish power play, which has been terrific, 10 for 35. Patrick Laine has got 3 power play goals. He's not on the ice. His unit will come out after this 5 left-handers unit gets their first crack at it.
And Ray, you've talked about it throughout the tournament. The Finns throw 2 very different looks at you on their 2 power play units. Really
difficult to get accustomed to killing against such a different look, and the penalty killers have to be aware which 5 are on the ice.
Esa Lindell feeds it across. Koivu back for Lindell, shovels it across to Granlund. Mikael Granlund in, drops it back. Lindell shoots. That was blocked by Telegan.
Wow, he had a great start to this game.
Finland still not a shot on goal in this game as Lindell tried to glove that ahead and does. Finds Aho at the line, held by Lindell. Here's Koskaranta with it. Koskaranta feeds it back, centered for Aho, drops it back to Koivu, to Lindell. Into Mikko Koivu, down to Granlund. Granlund to Koivu, in, shoots, and Bobrovsky got a blocker on that. There's a first shot on goal for the Finns, and it comes with less than 9 minutes to go in the first period.
Kind of a mishit by Koivu that almost surprised Bobrovsky. Went across the net, he got the sticker blocker on it. And here comes this other unit. Patrick Laine will want to get set up in this left face-off circle.
Here's C. Jokinen, winds in, finds Laine. He was stripped there by Yemelin. And now they'll get it set up. Hietanen feeds down to Jokinen. Laine in his customary position at the top of the left-hand face-off circle. Jokinen centers it, bounces down to Laine. Laine works in. His cross-ice pass knocked away by Yemelin and back down the ice. So they've got video in Moscow of what happened in St. Petersburg.
They certainly do. That pass was shut down. Well played by Yemelin.
Chudinov plays around, but it rattles off the glass and out. Face-off will be in the Russian zone with 8:03 to go and 25 seconds left in the power play.
Here's the only shot for the Finns in the first period. It's the one-timer from Granlund across to Mikko Koivu. You can see the puck floating around. He doesn't hit it square. And Ivan Telegan, who has had a terrific start to this game, an assist on the first goal, a scoring chance a little later, and that block there.
Off the draw, Jokic, the shot, broke his stick. Oh, what a save by Bobrovsky. He comes across on Alexander Barkov. So a broken stick for Jokic is kind of an off-speed pitch. And then Barkov, a great chance on the doorstep.
Barkov wins the draw. The point shot is stopped. And look at the spread from Bobrovsky. Pad save, brilliant. Oh, that hits the post. The second one goes off the goal post scored. This puck hits behind Bobrovsky. Alexander Barkov that close to tying the game.
20 seconds to go on the Finnish power play. Now Barkov will face off against Dantsuk. And off the draw, Jakala couldn't find it in his feet. Telegan races to it. Now his stick breaks, doesn't get it out. Held to the line by Jakala. Topi Jakala. In for Jokic, and now Telegan banks it down the ice. Yetman goes back to final seconds of the Panarin penalty. 2 shots on goal for the Finns on that man advantage. In comes Laine, he lost the puck. Yelland hit Kuznetsov with that clearing attempt. Antti Pilström tries to steal there. Kuznetsov taken down, penalty coming out of Finland. And so moments after killing off a Russian power play, now Laine will go off for the trip. And so the Finns, moments after having their power play, will face the Russians.
Kuznetsov has a clean lane out. He goes down pretty easy on the play from Laine, and that's the first power play opportunity for the Russians. They're 8 for 36 in this tournament.
We'll be back with a power play when we come back. So now Russia to the power play with Patrick Laine going off. The Russians are 8 for 36 on the man advantage. Panarin's got a pair of power play goals. So does Sergei Mozyakin. And now it's Dantsuk, Mozyakin, and Kuznetsov, the forward line of the power play.
Of course, Ovechkin's on that. His customary left side. Slava Voinov is the only defenseman out here.
Voinov wheels it across to Ovechkin. Down to Kuznetsov. Dantsuk fishes it free. Then played back to Voinov for Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov winds in, waits, walks back, shoots, and fought off by Koskinen as Kuznetsov walked right in. Mozyakin throws it back in the corner for Kuznetsov to Voinov. Kuznetsov now with Dantsuk standing in front, walks in, shoots short side, gloved by Koskinen, he'll hang on. And now Kavisto comes over to have a word with Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Well, Koskinen gave Kuznetsov a shot as he went by the side of the net. Koskinen can burn hot. This is the first move. What a beauty by Kuznetsov on Tommy Kavisto. Koskinen, an excellent stop as he freezes Kavisto, gets him to turn his feet. Now he's got a lane to the middle, and Koskinen makes the blocker stop.
Dantsuk in against Salonen. Dantsuk wheels it back for Voinov. A decade ago, Pavel Dantsuk and Alexander Ovechkin were a terror in the KHL. It was in the Russian Super League. as they played during the NHL lockout in 04-05. Voynov tries to send it ahead. Imagine that power play.
Oh my.
Well, part of it's out there now. Antti Pilström comes in, racing back is Voynov, and it's played around by Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky having a terrific tournament after a nightmarish start to his year in Columbus. You know, 28 goals his first 6 starts, didn't win any of them as Columbus imploded out of the gate.
By the time he got his game straightened out, the coach had been fired and changed. Columbus was out of the playoff race early again.
Panarin, for Dadonov. Drops it off to Panarin. Under 6 to go now in the opening period. 30 seconds to go in this power play. Shipachyov plays it back to Voynov. Feeds across. Ovechkin to drive. That's deflected wide as Pierrella got in the lane. Now played down the ice by Kavisto. Shots on goal are 9-2 Russia. They've got a 1-0 lead. Shipachyov to Panarin. Back to Shipachyov, walking in, drops it there, but Dadonov was a half step late. The play's offside.
And the Kuznetsov chance was the best chance on that power play. The blocker stopped by Koskinen. Ovechkin's one-timer really nicely deciphered and blocked by Pierrella, who's had a very good tournament for the Finns. So the Finns can probably look at this first 14 and a half minutes, tell themselves that they've survived, killed off a power play, and try and get their hands on the puck and push the Russians back. Remember, the Russians have only given up 4 goals in their last 6 games.
Lost their opener 3-0 here in Moscow to the Czech Republic, but they'd held 3 roster spots open for the potential arrival of the likes of Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Orlov. Knocked down there, and the shot fired up the inside of the goal frame by Lyubimov. Koivu looks at the Granlund, picked up by Telegan. Telegan works back in, drops it back to Yemelin. Spins and shoots. Polka gets in the way. Granlund has it back and feeds ahead to Koivu. Trying to find Komarov. And Komarov chips it in deep, but the Finns need a change. With time is Dmitry Orlov. Long shooting, gloved by Koskinen. A little snow shower there from Sanikov. And Koskinen didn't like that.
And Sanikov went back behind the net and apologized to Koskinen. I'm not sure how well that was received as Leo Komarov and Telegan get all tied up. Said earlier, Telegan plays a North American style game, and you certainly know how Leo Komarov plays. He's like shot out of a cannon every night. He has had a terrific tournament for the Finns.
Had a great year going for Toronto until they got hurt. Scored 19 times for them in 67 games.
Quickly became a Mike Babcock favorite.
Yetinen trying to swing that rink wide. Danzig got a stick on it. Now brought in by Laine. Patrick Laine goes behind the back. Loose behind the goal is Laine. Drops it down to Alexander Barkov. Now centered by Jokinen. Laine missed on that. Yetinen plays it across to Yakala. Loose behind the goal now. Anton Belov plays it around, and Chudinov has it for the Russians. Long lead pass. Finds Sanikov. He's tied up there by Yakala. Sanikov buys some time as the Russians are changing, throws it back in the corner for Mosiakin to Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov gets loose behind the goal, spins away from Barkov, centers it, and it knocked away from Marchenko. Zaitsev back with it. Drops it back for Marchenko.
I'm watching Alexei Marchenko. He plays a much more conservative game in North America than he's played the first 15 minutes here.
Chirikava. Sharp angle shot that goes high and wide.
There is the goaltender, Sergei Chirikov. He played 8 NHL games with Vancouver. He was a couple of years in their minor league affiliate in Manitoba, the Manitoba Moose. 13 goals this past year in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, moved from Ulm to St. Petersburg early in the year. That's a good move.
We sure enjoyed our time in St. Petersburg. What a city.
Pierrella feeds it around. Koskaranta back at the line for Otama. Adi Otama. Into the corner for Koskaranta, trying to work it back in front. Spins away from Ovechkin. Back at the point, Otama. Adi Otama, long range shot, tipped just wide of the goal. Is headed the stick of Pierrella. Koskaranta into the corner for Aho. 3 minutes to go here in the opening period. Kavisto a long shot, Bobrovsky the save, and there is no rebound. And Emelin gets into the grill of Toscaranta.
Tommy Kavisto finally able to get a shot through. The Russians have done a good job defending, blocking shots. There's Oleg Zarnok. He comes out the bench, and within about 4 seconds, he's got that tie loosened off.
He's got a gunslinger pose. He stands on the bench, not behind it. And he'll sometimes stand on the boards to talk to his team and face them.
He is a tightrope walker for sure.
Kavisto for Granlund. Center, Koivu a shot. Loose puck, and it's scooped up by Panarin.
Oh, set play off the draw. Beautifully executed, and Koivu's shot was blocked before it got to the net.
Shipachyov has it knocked away. Ultima plays it out, and Komarov's in with Granlund. Long shooting goes wide of the goal. Granlund trying to hunt it down. More pressure by the Finns the last couple of minutes here. They're outshot 6-0 to start the game. And now Lindell works in. His shot flutters around. Granlund trying to reach it. Bobrovsky finally gathers it up. As Granlund gets tangled up there with Voinov, and they go tumbling.
A couple of shifts in a row, the Finns have been able to forecheck, hold the puck, and create a scoring chance. This is that set play off the draw. Kavisto goes to Granlund, who finds Koivu. Look how open Koivu is. I don't think he realized he had as much time as he did. He could have stopped that and walked in a stride or two. There's Nikita Zaitsev, who will move to Toronto, signed in May by the Leafs in 1-year entry-level contract. Mike Babcock came here to watch Zaitsev. Had flown to, started in St. Petersburg, but came here to watch Zaitsev as well.
Brought in by Telainen. Walking in, shoots. That was blocked by Hoka. And back the other way comes Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen, the 19-year-old, works his way in. Rantanen shoots a dribble down towards the goal. Bobrovsky had to reach back with a left pad to keep that out.
It's the second change-up that Bobrovsky's had to deal with. That was a tough stop.
Shalin winds in. The Finns are changing. He tries to buy some time. Banks it off the corner boards to Jokinen. Jussi Jokinen drops it back. Missed Laine with it. And Hietinen knocks it down. And now Laine fans in that pass. Some maybe opening period jitters for Patrick Laine here.
He has mishandled the puck a couple of times.
Barkov works ahead. We talked about it before, Ray. Sweden-Finland is a great rivalry. Pretty friendly between two neighbors. This is not a friendly rivalry.
No, in the stands, on the ice, there's always a little bit of a bitter edge between these two countries, for sure.
Walking and firing that wide is Pavel Datsyuk. They're trying to center it. That was knocked away from him, and Barkov has it back. Finns and the Russians played each other in a classic gold medal game at the World Junior Championship in Helsinki back in January. The Russians tied it up late before the Finns won it. Goal and goal. As Granlund tries to force that ahead. The big hit there by Ovechkin on Laine. Voinov digs it free to Ovechkin. And Alexander Ovechkin goes rink line to Orlov. Here come the Russians again in the final minute of the first period. Orlov works in on Komarov. Swings it around trying to find Voinov, who had moved in. As Kasperi Kapanen scored that golden goal for the Finns in Helsinki.
Well, the Finns have done a pretty terrific job after being on the ropes early. They gave up 5 shots in those first 5 minutes, only 5 in the 14 minutes plus here as this period runs down.
Lindell plays it around, and Aho has it back. Sebastian Aho, rink wide for Pierrella on the dying second of the period. Pierrella with it now, swings it down to Koivu. Mikko Koivu gets free, tries to center it. Aho can't get to it. Bouncing puck, Bobrovsky freezes it as time expires here in the opening period. Sergei Shirankov with the opening goal for the Russians. A late chance there by the Finns, but it's 1-0 Russia with the lead after 1 period. back in the Ice Palace in Moscow, just south of downtown core. It is semifinal Saturday, the World Hockey Championship, as Russia takes on Finland for the right to play in the gold medal game tomorrow night here. The loser will play for bronze in the afternoon. Game will start the second period 5-on-5 after an opening period that saw the Russians outshoot the Finns 10-4. Ray, you made the point, only the second time in this tournament that the Finns allowed 10 shots in a period.
And they gave up the first 5 in the first 5 minutes, and then after that they started to get themselves into a pretty decent rhythm. Once they got that first shot on the power play, the Finns played a much better second half of the period.
It was all Russia in the opening moments of the first as Kuznetsov brings it in, drop back to Ovechkin. Ovechkin in, shoots, he whistled that wide.
Very quiet first period for Ovechkin.
Picks it up in the corner, centers it. Back at the point is Voynov's shot, and that was blocked by Koivu in front. And Kuznetsov finds Shirokov, the Russian goal scorer. Shirokov back with it, Ovechkin lingering in the slot now. As Shirokov has it back, finds Ovechkin and skips off his stick into the corner. Marchenko steps up for the Russians, poked away by Komarov. And Jääkelä picks it up for the Finns. Topi Jääkelä slides it down. Finns trailing for the first time in a game at this World Championship. Nikita Zaitsev tries to flip that ahead. Esa Lindell back on it. Lindell, the 20-year-old defenseman loaned to Team Finland by the Dallas Stars. As you get a look at Alexei Marchenko.
Marchenko was the 205th pick of the 2011 draft. He rather quickly worked his way up the Detroit food chain and spent most of the year, 66 games in Detroit this year.
Anton Belov fires it down. Belov, a former Edmonton Oiler, spent 1 year with him before returning.
His game really looks better suited to this ice. You know, he had trouble with the urgency of the North American game here to hold the puck, reverse, go D to D, really seems to suit him well.
Back through the middle. As Jokinen centered that now. Knocked down and behind the net was Lyonet. And Barkov comes back. As Senikov fell for the Russians. Now Jokinen back with it. Jussi Jokinen got poke checked at the line. The Russians are back the other way. It's Datsuk to Mosiakin. His long shot kicked out there by Koskinen. Mosiakin, you mentioned, a great year in the KHL. Led the KHL in scoring for the 4th time in his career. Now Barkov comes busting in on Orlov. Barkov works it back. And then got bumped. He got knocked off the puck in front of it by Zaitsev. Orlov leaves it there for Zaitsev. And now Panarin streaks ahead, takes that return pass. And Panarin swings that rink wide to Orlov. On the international ice surface, 200 feet long by 100 feet wide. And the Russians will use every square foot of it. I said before, you can tell how far it is. The hash marks on the outside of the face-off circle in the NHL are right up against the boards here. Lots more room. Voynov goes back. Knocked down by Pierala. He spins back in the corner. Chance now for the Finns. He plays it down to Aho. Skipped away from him. Koskaranta back with it. To the line he goes to Hietman. Flips it back down to Aho. Sebastian Aho, the Carolina Hurricanes draft pick in 2015. Lost it for a moment. Almost picked up by Telegan. Voynov picks it up. The 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the LA Kings. Guys, Chudinov. Telegan with a long shot. That's partly gloved by Koskinen. Knocked it away. And now Salonen throws it rink wide, but Telegan streaks back to pick it up. He's been all over the place in the first period and a bit so far. Now Telegan loose at the side of the goal, got bumped there by Jääkelä. And Topi Jääkelä has it back. Up ahead, finds Rantanen. And that's knocked away neatly. The chance now for the Russians, busting in. It's Ovechkin walking in. Ovechkin stopped by Koskinen in tight. What a chance for Alexander Ovechkin now. The Finnish net is dislodged as Poka collided with goaltender Mikko Koskinen.
As soon as this puck hits the sideboards, Ovechkin's off like a shark. The problem if you're trying to defend him when he's cutting in like this is he's so strong, you can't get a body on him. You have to try and get to his stick. Hoka can't get to either. And Mikko Koskinen makes a nice pad stop as Ovechkin doesn't get the puck up high enough, and the game stays 1-0 Russia.
Ovechkin has scored 33 times in 71 games in the World Championship for the Russians. One more goal will tie him with Ilya Kovalchuk for the most goals in the modern era. That's since 1977. Playing in his 12th World Championship, he's a 3-time gold medalist for the Russians.
12 of them, and he's 30.
And he has a full-time job.
That's so I hear.
Kuznetsov wins it back. Ovechkin's shot was blocked there by Granlund. That's a brave move by Mikhail Granlund. Marchenko for Orlov. Knocked down by Komarov. Loose in the corner is Leo Komarov. Finns had their chances late in that first period. Now Komarov spins back. Crisscrossing there with Granlund. Komarov walks it out. Taken down, a penalty coming to Marchenko. So the Finns are going to the power play here. Now Koskinen comes off. Lindell feathers that pass ahead. And finally the Russians touch up, but with 4:08 gone here in the second period, the Finns will go to the power play as Alexei Marchenko goes off.
Finland's second power play of the contest. There's the penalty by Marchenko as he clips out the legs of Leo Komarov. The Finns had a couple of decent chances, including Barkov's shot in that first period. The Russian penalty killers have given up 5 in the tournament.
It's Barkov, Komarov, and Jokinen up front. Jokinen is Laine back on the point. That's where Laine will start, but not where he'll finish.
2 minutes for Kobe, time 24:08.
Jokinen works in the head slowly, snaps it across to Barkov. In comes Alexander Barkov. Jokinen fan on that shot. It's poked out by a diving Sergei Kalinin.
Oh, there was room there for Jokinen. They backed off the Russian defenders, and he had a clean shot.
Laine flips it in. He and Zaitsev collide in the corner. And Lyubimov picks it up, and he bounces it down the ice.
Laine tried to chip and shield the puck with his body, but that's a really strong play by Zaitsev as he just pushed him off the puck and was able to clear.
Now the second power play unit comes on for the Finns, led by Koivu, the captain.
And that's where the Russian penalty killers, Gord, have to be awake. This is the 5 lefties. They'll set it up differently.
Aho tries to spin that back in front, knocked away by Belov, poked ahead by Lindell. High off the glass, it goes and out with 57 seconds to go on the power play.
You get in your head a way to defend against that top unit or that first unit, and if you don't notice the change has been made, you can get burned. The Russians, the puck clears over the glass. They've got all kinds of time to get set now, and no danger here for what has been a very dangerous Finnish power play through the first minute.
Finns have 9 members of their 2011 World Championship gold medal team on their roster. The Russians have 15 players who have won a gold medal at the World Championship before. They've won 4 of the last 8 World Championships, lost the gold medal game to Canada last year. Granlund fires it down. Took a bad bounce in the corner, and that's alertly knocked away by Yemelin. But make a note of that in the near right corner. As Koivu breaks it in. 40 seconds to go on the power play. Mikko Koivu, who's the captain of that 2011 team, to Lindell. To Granlund, puts it back. Aho scores! Sebastian Aho fires home the power play goal. And this game is tied at 1.
5.5 minutes into the period, the first Finnish shot. And it's 1-1. Sebastian Aho, his second goal of the tournament, the 11th power play goal of the tournament for the Finns. Remember the 5 lefties, they all set up on that side. They're looking for the one-timer. Lindell finds Granlund, who has got a point in every game. What a tournament Granlund has had. And Aho's shot is perfect and beats Bobrovsky on the glove side.
Sebastian Aho had a terrific World Junior Championship 4 months ago for the Finns. He's 18 years old. Scored 20 goals in 45 games with Karpat in the Finnish League this year, where his dad is the general manager. I guess you don't need a no-trade clause in that case, do you? Well, you like to think not.
Dad would be in trouble at home if he makes that move.
And the question is, will Aho be in the NHL next year? Aho picks it up, throws it down towards the goal, tipped there by Koskaranta, and Bobrovsky had to make a quick save there.
All of a sudden, the Finns probably feeling pretty darn good about themselves. They played well in the last 10 minutes of that first period. They get the power play goal here, and Koska Ranta, who's had a really good tournament for the Finns, a 29-year-old, has got 3 goals. Really good penalty killer, really dependable, and he gets a tip that Bobrovsky smothers.
Barkov, Laine, Jokinen back out there for the Finns. For the face-off, won by Datsuk. And played around for Sandikov. Barkov chips it ahead. Laine trying to wind his way back, lost it. And Pavel Datsuk brings it in. Datsuk works in, waits, shoots. That was blocked by Ottama. Poked ahead by Laine as he finds Jokinen. The Finns bring it back down the ice. Zaitsev goes back. Barkov goes in on him. And Orlov has it back for the Russians. Orlov shovels out ahead for Sandikov. He was tied up there by Yakula. And Jokinen comes back on him. Later on by Datsuk. And Laine gathers up the loose puck. High in the air, gloved down by Shirokov. Bangs that back by Jokinen. Kuznetsov on it now. Evgeny Kuznetsov shoots, obfuscated hit, and back at the point. Voinov a shot that was blocked by Barkov. Shirokov plays it back in behind the goal to Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin back for Yemelin. Across to Voinov. Voinov has a look, being watched there by Jokinen, steps around him. Voinov centers it, and that's swatted away by Koskinen. Yemelin plays it back in deep to Ovechkin. And Yakula stripped him of the puck, but Ovechkin leaves it there for Kuznetsov. Barkov. Loose in the corner, it's picked up by Kuznetsov. Laine gets on it. He finds Jokinen ahead to Barkov. Finns are changing as Barkov brings it in. Barkov tied up. Played back around by Belov. Lyubimov knocked down. And as Komarov touches up, it's going to be a penalty against the Finns for a trip. And the Russians will go to the power play in a 1-1 game here in the second period. There is the presumptive NHL Rookie of the Year, Artemi Panarin. 30 goals in 80 games with the Chicago Blackhawks, led all rookies in goals and points. If you think that back farther, Ray, people might not remember, it was Panarin who scored the game-winning goal for the Russians in that comeback against Canada at the 2011 World Junior Championship in Buffalo.
What I remember last year about him, I don't go back to 11 as much as clearly, is that he was so confident. He was standing where Ovechkin stands and waiting for Ovechkin to move.
Now the Russians on the power play. Dadonov for Shipachyov. Centered by Panarin, and it just missed Dadonov that goes down the ice. A lot has changed in Russian hockey over the years, but the patience of the power play has not.
No, it's not. And what's interesting is they'll set it up from behind the net, where in North America, that never happens. It's always at the point to start.
Panarin trying to center it, knocked down the ice by Pierala. If you get a chance on the Players' Tribune, Evgeny Kuznetsov wrote a great article this year about the difference between Russian hockey and the NHL. He's not being critical of either, but just talked about the differences and how when you get to the NHL, they tell you to get it deep, get it deep. In Russia, they say maintain possession, maintain possession. Dadonov back for it. Watched there by Pilstrom, now rinked wide. Orlov. Mosiakin picks it up and regroups. Russians are changing. Picked up by Kuznetsov. Evgeny Kuznetsov. First round pick of Washington back in 2010. And the crowd getting impatient with the Russian regroup here. Datsuk feeds for Mosiakin, walks in. Datsuk, oh, what a chance in front. He fanned on it. Had a stick with him the last second.
Felt he was hooked. What a play by Mosiakin.
And now Pilstrom has it back shorthanded for the Finns. Pilstrom on a taken away by Kuznetsov. Needs a change, and Kuznetsov has some time. Steps away from Koskaranta. Wozniakin back to Kuznetsov. Walks in, drops it off to Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin works in, waits, a centering pass. Knocked down, Datsuk centering pass, broken up by Kavisto. Datsuk back to Ovechkin, has time, shoots. That's blocked by Koskaranta. Loose puck to Wozniakin. Wozniakin's pass broken up. Kavisto sends it ahead, finds Komarov on the rig. Komarov in, gets a shot away. And Komarov looks at the official, expecting a penalty to be called. None coming.
Both teams felt there was a penalty on a scoring chance. This is a great look from Tommy Kavisto onto the stick of Leo Komarov. Voinov just lifts his stick, well timed, as Komarov is yelling as he comes out of the box, takes the pass right on the tape, and a nice play defensively by Voinov. Earlier, you're going to watch Datsuk get to the front of the net. Wozniakin passes him, and Hietinen is going to grab him with his right arm. That should have been penalized. You see Wozniakin still barking at it. They just saw the play on the big board. That should have been a penalty. And Datsuk would have had a 4x6 to bunt that into.
Komarov stays on with Koivu and Granlund. A 1-1 game here in the second period. This thing had the chance to be about 5-0 in the first 10 minutes of the first period. Fired down by the Russians. That'll be an icing call.
And the one and out, we talk about it a lot, how much we love these quarterfinal, semifinal games. Gord, you often talk about Scotty Bowman and the greatest team he ever had in Montreal.
14-2 in the playoffs in 77-78. You lose one of those two games in this tournament in the quarters, you're out. You don't make the top 8. Sorry, you don't make the top 4.
So here they are, and the Russians dominated the first part of the game. Now all of a sudden the Finns are settled in a little bit, and it doesn't even matter what happened an hour ago.
Got a save and a bounce. Think about Komarov busting out of the penalty box like that.
Barkov hitting the post in the first period.
Telegan works in. Telegan got to work out to the side of the goal. Does, but Mikko Koskinen, the big 6'7" Finnish netminder, reaches up and takes it away from Ivan Telegan.
No disrespect to Ivan Telegan, but he's been the best player on the ice for the Russians. They've got so many high-profile players. We talk so much about Panarin and Chipachov and Dodonov and Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, and Ivan Telegan's been the best player. The Winnipeg Jets still own Telegan's rights as he was drafted by Atlanta, and there is some discussion perhaps that you want to take a look at him again. That's a North American game when I'm watching him. He's big, gets to the puck. He made a terrific play on the first goal. Been by far the best player on the ice.
Here's Belov back with it. Went back to Ovechkin, but Komarov took that away from him.
Well, Komarov was standing right inside Ovechkin's jersey when the puck came to him, well positioned, and then he gets down to create a ruckus as he always does in front of the other net.
6th round pick of Toronto back in 06, spent 1 year with Toronto. Didn't work out very well for him. Went back to the KHL and came back and signed a big deal with Toronto and had a great year. There's a little bop on Yemelin.
He reminds me of an old teammate of mine and assistant coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, Kevin Dineen. Kevin was always a little bit out of control, just like Komarov. Always a little bit of that look on his face, like what just happened behind me when somebody's been swacked with a stick. And then Kevin scored 40 goals as well.
Long shot by Yakula.
I mean, it's one thing to be a pain in the rear end. It's another to be very effective with your play. That's what Leo Komarov does. He can make a pass. He can score some goals. He can play up and down your lineup. That's what Kevin Dineen did.
There's Alexei Yemelin, the Montreal Canadiens. He was a world champion for the Russians back in 2012. He was drafted by Montreal in 2004, came to the Canadiens 7 years later. Yemelin.
He's been a nuisance to society ever since. What a dangerous open ice hitter he can be.
Granlund centers. Koivu a shot that flutters down to Komarov. Leo Komarov plays it around for Granlund. Mikhail Granlund pivots around Kuznetsov. Still on it is Granlund. Picks it up in the corner. Spins back as Belmont stepped into him. Koivu banks it back for Yakula. Across he goes. He had the drive. Pounded that just wide. Now Koivu on it. And Yemelin tied up there by Koivu. Lifted high in the air for Ovechkin. Rokov found him. Ovechkin goes rink wide. Kuznetsov a shot. And a great stop there by Koskinen.
Really good save. That's about 3 or 4 beauties with the leg by Koskinen.
Tommy Kavisto, a late out of this Finnish lineup. It's chipped ahead to Jussi Jokinen. Crisscrossing with Laine. Jokinen. Going to throw that across. Broken up by Panarin. And Kavisto comes back for it.
Not only is Kavisto in the lineup, but he's being pressed into bigger minutes. One of those guys out of the Finnish lineup that you don't often talk about, or he doesn't get much notoriety, is veteran Lassi Kukkonen. He would be in their top 4 or 5 defensemen. They miss him.
Panarin for Shipachyov, taken down by Barkov. Play continues and the whistles of derision go up, the ones we first heard in 1972, not far from here.
Remember back then, nobody could understand what they were doing.
Polka long shot, tipped in front by Pierrella. That was Nicky Arena, where the Soviet fans were whistling bad calls they didn't like. Brought ahead by Marchenko, went across the line. Marchenko has a look. That might be the deepest he ever got as a Detroit Red Wing.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have stayed as long either. He's been into the play 3 or 4 times this afternoon.
Pierrella fires it down. 7.5 to go in the second period. A 1-1 tie. Russians had the first 6 shots of the game, scored on one of them. The Finns have steadied the ship, and now in a battle here in the second period. Yaka long shot through the traffic, went wide. Zaitsev taken down there by Aho. Koskaranta plays it back in behind the goal for Sebastian Aho. The Finnish goal scorer centers it. That's broken up by Marchenko, and away comes Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin in across the line, shoots. Knocked wide by Yakula. Set down to the Russian zone. And Yemelin swings back to pick it up. Penalty coming down to Finland. As Yemelin has it. Extra skater comes on now. And away comes Kuznetsov. Again, Kuznetsov winds in, shoots. Ripped that wide, rebound. Tapped right on goal by Lyubimov. And finally, Koskinen has it. But a penalty coming to Finland. It'll be Pilgrim for the slash, and the Russians are going to the power play. The power play with 6.5 to go here in the second period, coming up on 5:30 local time in Moscow.
Third power play for the Russians. They had a couple of really good chances on their last one, but the Finnish penalty killers that have given up 3 on 25 chances in this tournament have done a really good job.
Finns are 8-0. The Russians have won 7 in a row since losing their opener 3-0 to the Czechs. And since that loss to the Czechs, pretty good defensively. They beat Kazakhstan 6-4 in a bit of a scrambling game in their second game, but since then, they've not allowed more than 1 goal in a game.
Yeah, they gave up the first goal to Germany in the quarterfinal and scored 4 straight to win.
Pierrella breaks it out short-handed for the Finns. Pierrella works in, fires it wide, looks for his own shoot-in, and that's picked up by Orlov.
Out of the commercial, a timeout, the Russians come back with this line, which has been their top line offensively. 15 of the 36 goals for in the tournament.
In comes Panarin, swings it right back to the line. Korchudinov. Shipachyov.
There's that setup below the goal line again.
Pops it back. Chudinov for Shipachyov. Dadonov plays it back. Shipachyov, rink wide. Panarin, and to hold it. Plays it back. Chudinov back to Panarin with a hard drive. Blocked by Ottama. Didn't realize he'd stopped it. Now back at the line is Chudinov. Across he goes to Shipachyov. Down to Panarin. Brings it back to Orlov. Orlov down to Panarin. Shipachyov. Panarin works it back. Orlov winds and shoots off a leg. It dribbles just wide. Ottama blocked that and knocked it wide, and that took a bite out of Ottama. Dadonov drops it back. Orlov in, swings it back across, and fading on to Shipachyov. And the Finns are able to move it out.
What a power play that was. About 4 great cracks at it. They moved the puck around so efficiently. They were sharp with it. Yet Antti Ottama had 2 spectacular blocks.
No shots on goal yet on the power play, but about 5 great looks. Mosiakin got spun around.
No stick for Koskaranta here. That opens up Ovechkin of all people.
And the centering pass broken up by Hietala. Now he races to it with Ovechkin. Ovechkin bumps him off the puck. Ovechkin loose in the corner, walks back up, trying to center it. That's blocked by Yakula. And now Koskaranta feeds it ahead. And in comes Tommy Salonen. Second straight Russian power play that has not had a shot on goal.
Wow, the first part of it was so dangerous. Nothing to the net as Ottama was really the star of that penalty kill.
4.5 to go here in the second period, and a 1-1 tie. Esa Lindell up for Jussi Jokinen. Jokinen works it in, loose in the corner with it. Drops it down to Laine. Patrick Laine works it back across. They score! Jussi Jokinen with a sweet feed from Patrick Laine, and the Finns have taken the lead 2-1.
Jussi Jokinen's got 10 points in the tournament. He has been a terrific player on this line with Barkov and Laine. We've just been raving about Laine's shooting ability. Well, here he is on the goal line, head up, and a little dish feathered across flat at the right pace, and the Russians get caught, 2 of them on Alexander Barkov. Well, he's covered. Guess who's not? Jussi Jokinen. No chance for Sergei Bobrovsky. The Finns have 2 goals in this period and have taken a 2-1 lead.
2 goals on 4 shots, and Jokinen has 3 goals in his last 4 games for the Finns.
The Finns have given up 42 shots in the second period in the 8 games of the tournament. Today they've given up just 4 with 16 minutes left. They have choked the life out of the Russian offense again.
Now Kuznetsov swings back for it. You think about all that power play time the Russians had, don't generate a shot on goal.
Dangerous looks, nothing to the net, mainly because of Ottama's terrific work. But the Russians dominated early, and now they seem to have lost their mojo a bit. There's Ottama, there's the first block, and here's gonna be the second one as he gets this one too in the arm. Man, oh man, he's had a terrific tournament. 28-year-old defenseman who plays in Jokerit. He's really physical. He's had a solid tournament, and after he gets hit in the arm, you know, he's still kind of, that's gonna bark at him for a while, but watching that pass and that finish makes it feel a whole lot better.
As you mentioned for Jokerit in the KHL, the iconic Finnish team that left the Finnish Elite League to play in the KHL a couple of years ago. So the Russians now trailing, as they did in their quarterfinal game against Germany. Shipachyov lost the puck to Ottama, who plays it back out. Ottama scored a big goal for the Finns. Believe it or not, in a tie game against Hungary, was scoreless more than halfway in.
36 minutes into that game, and it was Ottama, probably one of the more unlikely characters to score, that kind of wedged that game open.
Koskaranta works it back. Aho is shot, and a stick knocked out of his hands. Aho heads off as Bobrovsky knocked down that soft shot. Voinov, long lead pass finds Dadonov, poked away by Yakula. Dadonov swings it rink wide. He stepped in front of that, and he finds Pilstrom. Andy Pilstrom works in, throws it towards the goal. The pass just missed, and on rushing Mikko Rantanen. Yakula fell, but coming across is Yetman to pick up the loose puck. Mikko Rantanen, the first-round pick of the Colorado Avalanche, had a great year this year in the American Hockey League for their team in San Antonio.
Played 9 NHL games at the start.
Koskaranta pivots back. Got tied up there by Yemelin. Pilstrom falls. And away comes Kalinin. Sergei Kalinin. Alexander Ovechkin works in. Ovechkin, the poke check there by Lindell. Chance the other way for Rantanen. As he busts in 2-on-1 against Chudinov. Rantanen in, shoots. Bobrovsky makes the save, and a penalty coming now. It's going to go against Alexander Ovechkin for taking Lindell down. And the Finns will get a late power play here in the second period.
What a play by Esa Lindell defensively, and then to get on his horse and get up into the race for the 2-on-1. He steals it here from Ovechkin. The pass is going to go across the ice, and then he races all the way to the net. They're locked up, but really it's Lindell that loses a shoe here. Ovechkin's not even really leaning on him, but he gets called for interference, and the Finns up 2-1 have a chance to spread this lead with their third goal of the period.
Scored their last power play with Sebastian Aho on the centering pass from Mikhail Granlund. Oleg Narnak suddenly sees his Russian team in some trouble here. Led the Russians to goal in 2014, was not their head coach last year. Scramble draw picked up by Aho. Back he goes to Lindell. Esa Lindell bangs it down to Koivu. For Aho, back to Koivu. Mikko Koivu. Towards the goal. Jets scored! Tapped in front by Aho on a scrambled puck, and Sebastian Aho has his second of the period, both in the power play, and don't look now, the Finns have a 3-1 lead.
Mikko Koivu's going to throw this off the right pad of Sergei Bobrovsky, and Sebastian Aho is in front of the net on the backside. Lyubimov is not going to get there in time as this shot is deflected by Koskaranta, and there's Sebastian Aho. Goals 2 and 3 in the tournament for the 18-year-old, and 3 goals in the second period, and this building has gotten a lot quieter in a hurry.
It's 3 goals on 7 shots here in the period. Aho with 2 on the power play. And now shot down by Chudinov. That's gloved by Koskinen, and he hangs on.
2 for 3 on the power play for the Finns. 0 for 3 for the Russians. There lies most of the difference, as Alex Ovechkin was in the penalty box on the interference call, and Sebastian Aho was able to cash in. Ovechkin on the ice with Datsuk now instead of Kuznetsov, as Datsuk moves in with Mosiakin, and Ovechkin here late in the period.
Mosiakin loose in the corner, being watched there by Barkov. And now the Finns can play some D, and they're good at that. Otama got tied up there, but he finds Barkov, and Barkov ahead to Laine. Rinked wide pass, knocked away by Marchenko. Kavisto has it back for the Finns. Tommy Kavisto up ahead for Jussi Jokinen. Closes that down. Bobrovsky makes the stop, has to eat it up with Patrick Laine looking for the loose puck.
2 goals tonight for the 18-year-old Sebastian Aho. Here he is on the power play where he finds the space in between the top 2 penalty killers to take Granlund's pass, and then a shot tipped by Koskaranta. Sebastian Aho on the doorstep for the rebound. A really clever player, and back in the World Junior Tournament, he was the 3rd member of that Puljujarvi Laine trio that just ripped the tournament apart.
He scored 5 times in 7 games for the Finns in that World Junior Championship. Granlund back with it now. Final minute of a stunning second period for the home team. And now brought ahead by Dadonov. He's got Panarin with him. Dadonov drops to the trailer. Shipachyov works in, waits, slides it back. And the crowd in disbelief moans, and there's no shot on goal there either.
Now you're starting to look for the perfect plays. 15 feet in front of the net, shoot the puck.
Granlund comes in, Dadonov steps into him. And Voinov now comes in.
The crazy part is Shipachyov leads the Russians in shots on goal in the tournament with 26, and he passed up a golden one there.
Panarin plays it around. Lindell on it now. Esa Lindell gets tied up. And Koskaranta has it. Trying to find Aho. Picked up now and brought out by Lyubimov. Chudinov. Down to Lyubimov. Works in. Shoots. Save made there by Koskinen. He hangs on with 5.4 seconds remaining. Kalinin standing right in the crease. Now Polka's into it. Along with Telegan.
The Russians' sixth shot of the period.
Here in the second period. Face-off, one back to Ovechkin, slides it back. Belov, a shot that was blocked and thrown up by Pierrella. And the Finns score 3 times on 10 shots. And this Russian crowd sits in stunned silence. Sebastian Aho has 2 as the Finns lead 3-1 after 2. 3-1, Finland in the lead after 40 minutes of play. The shots on goal are 16-14 in favor of the Russians, who have run into an opportunistic goal-scoring team that plays great defense.
Well, it's been that way through the entire tournament, hasn't it? The Finns have just locked everybody out of the game with their superb defensive play. They've got talented forwards who've been able to score, and now they're 20 minutes away from the final.
As our friend, the international hockey maven Simon Senberg points out, the same script as the 2014 Olympic quarterfinal in Sochi. Russians scored first. Finns got a 3-1 lead after 2, and that was the final score. Komarov loose behind the Russian goal. Leo Komarov drops it back. Koivu fans on that. Ovechkin's away, along with Lyubimov and Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov throws it wide for Lyubimov. The Russians are making a quick change there. And Zaitsev back to pick up the loose puck.
Don't forget, go back to the games at 1-0. Alex Ovechkin gets a breakaway from the half wall.
Now Datsuk with a chance and a save made by Koskinen.
Koskinen made the save on Ovechkin there. He snares the chance from Pavel Datsuk. A little bit of room through the middle of the ice as the Finns back up. That defense pair, Billy Polka's 21. Esa Lindell is 20. And they rely on them a lot. This Finnish team is extremely young. We've seen that through a lot of the teams. The Russians are not. But the Americans, the Canadians, very young teams.
Now Mosyakin plays it down to Telegan. Ivan Telegan had it knocked away by Polka. And you think back to the second period, 2 Russian power plays, no shots on goal, and late in the period, Shipachyov with a chance alone in front elects to pass instead, and the Russians don't get a shot on goal.
And the Finns scored 2 power play goals in that second period as well.
Datsuk picks it out now for the Russians. Pavel Datsuk throws it neatly across for Orlov. Fired back in by Marchenko, down to Mosyakin. Mosyakin tries to feed that back in front. He's sent flying by Polka. And moved ahead by Barkov. Alexander Barkov did not play for the Finns in their quarterfinal win over Denmark. There was no official report. Word was he had some kind of virus, a bug of some sort, but his presence huge here now in the third period for the Finns. Ottawa had it knocked away, and Kavisto back to pick it up. Tommy Kavisto tries to bank that ahead, knocked down by Chudinov. That shot was blocked. Panarin can't reach it, knocked out by Aho, who's quickly ahead with Pierrella. Sebastian Aho works in a sharp angle shot. Bobrovsky makes the save, and Belov clears it away. Shipacha works in, and Otama knocks it down for the Finns. Only twice in this tournament have the Finns allowed double digits in shots in a period. Once was the first period of this game. But they've locked it down since then. Kuznetsov fires it in. Back to pick it up is Yetinen, and taking a long run at him was Lyubimov. Looks in the corner now. Lyubimov trying to pick it up. Takes a return pass from Kuznetsov. And behind the goal, Yetinen has it back for the Finns. Yetinen up to Mikko Rantanen diving for it. Well, the Finns aren't afraid to use those teenagers, are they? Pilstrom with it now. Pilstrom fires it down. That's wide of the goal. Now Rantanen has it back. But the play called. Icing against the Finns. Thought was an icing call against the Finns. Apparently not. Face off of the Russian zone. Datsuk against Koivu.
I ran into Jari Lehtinen, the general manager of the Finns, between periods, and I said, a lot easier playing, isn't it? He said, oh, yeah, it is.
He was a nervous wreck an hour before this game. Komarov brings it down. These single elimination games. You can do everything right leading up to it. You find yourself playing for third or worse. You lose in the quarters. Find yourself plays 5th through 8. Pelagan trying to knock it out. Finally gets it free. And Lindell back to pick it up. Pokes it across to Billy Polka. Drafted by the Islanders. Traded to Chicago. Polka falls in the corner. Mosyakin has it back. And Lindell plays it away from him. Zaitsev brings it around. Polka steps away from Shipacha. And lifted out by Polka as Zaitsev has to go back. And Granlund trailing on him. Orlov being watched there by Laine. Laine gets to it. Into the corner for Granlund. Laine knocks it down again and finds Granlund again. Mikhail Granlund to Barkov. Alexander Barkov back to Kavisto. A long shot that was just wide as Granlund was looking for the tip. Laine back on it. Drops it down to Barkov. He got tied up and Orlov has the loose puck. Dmitry Orlov. Up ahead for Dodonov. That top line back on the ice, but a great poke check there by Otama. And Kavisto has it back. Lines that down the Russian zone. Bobrovsky out to play it as the Finns will change. And Alexei Yemelin has it back. Yemelin, long lead pass for Ovechkin. That's chopped away by Yetinen. But then banks it back to center ice. Voinov works in. Long shot, floated wide of the goal. Aho waiting for it. Slapped high in the air. Aho back with it. Lifts it out. Trying to find Pierrella. And Voinov looks ahead for Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin centers for Kuznetsov. And Koskaranta, a great defensive play there to knock it away. In comes Aho streaking in. Sebastian Aho with a head of steam in on Voinov. Aho spins it down to Pierrella. Voinov tied up by Aho. At the line, held by Lindell. His shot rattles around. And Ovechkin picks it up. Double in the corner. Yemelin waiting for it, being shadowed there by Shalinen. Over 5 gone here in the third period. Shots are even at 1.
That is a perfect 5 minutes for the Finns.
Pelagan plays it back. Yemelin was going off. Comes back on. Almost too many men against the Russians, but Yemelin has it back. Yemelin fires it down, and that's an icing call. As Yemelin wristed down about 3 paces shy of center ice.
If you're going to break the Finns down, you're going to have to chip the puck behind them, get yourself to it, and start to cycle. You're not going to get much free ice in the middle if you want to score on the rush. As soon as Russia came around the net, the Finns were back in a tightly packed group between the dots in the neutral zone. There's just no room in the middle of the ice. You got to get it up the outside if you're going to attack into the zone.
Lindell plays it down to Granlund. And Mikhail Granlund trying to work it free. Racing to it now is Koivu. And behind the goal for Granlund, Mikhail Granlund. A bump there by Belov, and Datsuk has the loose puck. Datsuk around for Yemelin. Up for Mosyakin. And again, the Russians will regroup. Still to come tonight, Canada against the United States in the second semifinal.
Canada beat the U.S. 5-1 in the first game of the tournament.
Now Panarin works in. Artemi Panarin comes in along with Shipachyov. Panarin wanted to drop that back. He watched there Mike Kavisto. Now Panarin, can his top line get to work for the Russians? And it bounces off the stick of Dadonov and out. Now to Dadonov. Rink wide pass disrupted by Laine, and the Russians will start a change. Laine. Signs up the check, gets the puck back and moves it across the line. Laine works in, has some time, shoots. Off the leg of Chudinov and wide. Laine gets it back. Laine swings it back. Yetman in, shoots, tipped it wide to the goal by Barkov. Pierrella back on it. Feeds it back to Yetman, and we got a penalty coming up.
That's going to be Barkov for interference.
And so the Russians will go to the power play with 13 left in the third. So Russia to the power play. Not only did the Russians not score in the last two, they didn't get a shot on goal.
And they've changed the rotation here. They started all of their previous three power plays with the Shipachyov line on the ice, Dadonov and Panarin. This time they're going with their big boys, Datsyuk, Kuznetsov, Mosiakin up front, Ovechkin and Voinov on the point. They've got to get something, at least a little momentum from the Barkov interference penalty.
Koivu for the face-off against Datsyuk. Wasn't done fairly. Now Koivu will be shown out, so Pierrella will have to take the draw.
Second time Koivu's been kicked out on the draw.
Mosiakin and Panarin each have scored twice for the Russians on the power play. Here's Ovechkin across to Voinov. Slava Voinov down to Kuznetsov, loose in the corner. Kuznetsov to Voinov, feeds it across to Ovechkin. Back to Voinov. Ovechkin winds and shoots. That's tipped wide by Datsyuk. Now Datsyuk loose on the goal line. Feeds it down to Kuznetsov. Cross ice pass. Ovechkin look for Datsyuk. Backdoor. He tapped it wide. And now the Finnish net is off its peg. There'll be a face-off in the Finnish zone with 1:37 to go in the power play.
Ovechkin's first shot is blocked. The second one, when it looks like he might shoot it, he slides it across to Datsyuk. You see Koskinen's left foot hit the post. This guy doesn't love it either. Koskinen hits the post and knocks the net off. The face-off will be back to the right of Mikko Koskinen.
Russian fans were actually giving the power play some grief in the second period for not shooting. And off the face-off, picked up by Tommy Salonen, who plays for Djurgården in the Swedish league and fires it down. Alex Ovechkin for Pavel Datsyuk. Swings it back for Mosiakin. In comes Mosiakin winding his way in. Drops it off for Datsyuk. Fed back at the point, Voinov. To Kuznetsov. Walks in, backdoor pass. Ovechkin pulled the trigger. Save made by Koskinen. The net is off again. And the Russians don't like it.
They use these pegs here in Russia. We actually looked at them in St. Petersburg. I could bend them in my hands. These are ridiculous. Like, there's no way. Look, Koskinen doesn't do anything wrong. He's just sliding across the net, and he's knocked the net away. It's easy for the goaltender to knock it off, and there are times when if he wants to knock it off, he can do it in that way, but he's moving across to make a save, and the Russian power play gets sniffed out when the puck is still alive.
Datsyuk, Mosiakin, and Kuznetsov stay out there. But off the draw, Kavisto picks it up and fires it down, and now Danzig will go off, and on comes the Shipachyov, the Donov, and Panarin unit. Voinov drops it off to Panarin. Timmy Panarin winds his way in. Drops it off to Shipachyov. Shipachyov down to Panarin. Feeds it back to Ovechkin. Across they go to Voinov. Crisscrossing now with Ovechkin. Voinov being watched there by Koivu. Into the corner, Panarin.
Well, you never see Ovechkin on this side, and
Here he comes. He missed on it.
you never see him on that side in Washington, but different setup. He comes across, and the Shipachyov pass just skipped on him as he was set up for the one-timer.
20 seconds to go on the power play. Dadonov brings it up. In comes Dadonov across the line. Drops it back for Panarin. Panarin for Ovechkin. 10 seconds to go on the power play. Orlov with it now. The Shipachyov. Works it in. Drops it back. Orlov to Ovechkin. Walks in. Ovechkin shoots. That's walkway. Topi Yakala. Ovechkin trying to knock it down. And Barkov feeds ahead to Salonen. One shot on goal for the Russians on that power play.
Well, it looked a lot better than that, didn't it? Lots of zone time, just one puck that Koskinen had to stop.
Orlov with it now. Winds his way through center ice. Dmitry Orlov brings it around. Lyubimov collides there with Lindell, and Lindell plays it up for Polka. Polka slides it quickly ahead for Laine. Moving ahead with Barkov. He lost the puck. Belov has it back to Chudinov. Chudinov to Telegan. Ivan Telegan works in, steps around Lindell, still on it. Telegan drops it off for Belov, a sharp angle shot. Save made by Koskinen. He's got the second try as well, and hangs on for a face-off.
Topi Yakala gets out to block this shot by Ovechkin. He gets a couple of shots blocked on that power play. There's Granlund with the block on Ovechkin. Koskaranta with one. Ultima with one. Ultima with two. And then moments later, Finland scored again, but a really good job by the Finns getting in the shooting lanes, in particular on the power play, to help keep the Russians frustrated at this point.
Now Mosiakin shoots, and the save made again by Koskinen. We talked about it before, Mikko Koskinen, second round pick of the Islanders in 09, played a handful of games. His last one he got drilled by Buffalo, never played again, spent 3 years in the American League.
Hasn't faced more than 18 shots in a game in this tournament. Now at 19.
The Russians just hit 19.
It's not like he's overworked.
Telegan plays it back for Marchenko. In behind the goal of Battlefort. Mosienko got moved off the puck. Mosienko back on it. Now Telegan tries to pick it out. Back at the line. Marchenko long shot. That's blown through the traffic by Koskinen.
Finns right now defend. They're on the back end of a penalty kill. Koskinen's got an easy stop there on the Marchenko slapper. No traffic in front of the net. The Russians have had all of the play in this period.
Shots are 5-2 in Russia's favor here in the third. Overall, 21-16. Ovechkin plays it back. Point on the shot, and Koskinen swats that away. Blocked by Ovechkin. Plays it around for Yemelin. Back ahead for Lyubimov. Back goes Yakala. They collide hard in the corner. Puck still loose for Lyubimov. Crisscross with Kuznetsov. Yakala. The Pierrella who chipped it back out to the Russian zone as Yemelin goes back, and Bobrovsky way out to play it. Alexei Yemelin swings it across to Ovechkin. Man has led the NHL in goal scoring for each of the last 4 years. 6 times overall, Alexander Ovechkin has won the Rocket Richard Trophy.
7 of his 10 years, he's thrown 50 on the board. This is not exactly a high-scoring era either.
Now Jokinen knocks it down. Jussi Jokinen poke check there by Chudinov. And Panarin's away along with Shipachyov and Dadonov. The centering pass broken up by Polka, and again, Shipachyov drops it back to Judinov. For Belov, walks in, Belov waits. Poke check there by Lindell. How do you say shoot it in Russian?
Well, he didn't want to shoot it. There was no traffic. Three of the Russian players were waiting for a one-timer. Somebody's got to get to the front of the net.
Dadonov, poke check there by Lyonek. Picked up by Shipachyov, swings it rink wide, and a shot by Chudinov deflected wide as Jokinen got in the way. Lifted down by Polka and back down to the Russian zone. 8 to go here in the third period. The Finns have a 3-1 lead.
Man, this is a block party for the Finns.
Now
Shot block, shot block.
Talagan chips it in, tries to make it through that thicket of Finnish defenders and can't. Koivu knocks it away from Datsuk and back down the ice. Boy, it doesn't usually go that way. It's usually Datsuk taking it away from you. Zaitsev snaps that pass ahead for Talagan, picked off by Koivu. He'll slide it back down the ice.
Well, Mikko Koivu's role today, for the most part, has been to shut down the top Russian forwards. He's done a terrific job. His line with Granlund and Komarov.
And now an interference call coming to the Russians. Marchenko will go off. 7:24 to go in the third period. The Finns have the lead and will go on the power play. Back here in Moscow, the host team came in with high expectations for this World Championship after some disappointing results. Of course, the Olympics a deep disappointment for them. The Olympics have not been kind to the Russians of late. They finished out of the medals in each of the last 3 Olympic hockey competitions involving NHL players.
2 golds in the last 4 World Championships, golds in 2012 and 2014. There really seemed to be some momentum to this team, didn't there, as they walked through the quarterfinal win against Germany. But we've watched the Finns play every game, and this has been how they play. They've been excellent in this tournament.
And now their excellent power play goes to work. Here comes Granlund with it. Mikhail Granlund works in. Granlund, Koskaranta, Aho and Koivu with the forwards. Lindell, the lone defenseman, playing on the power play. As Koskaranta plays it back to Koivu. This will also chew up some valuable time on the clock for the Finns. Lindell swings it down to Koivu, walks in, centers it tipped wide by Koskaranta, chipped high off the glass. Granlund has it back. Mikhail Granlund back for Lindell, swings it across to Koivu. Koivu waits, shoots, tipped right wide by Koskaranta, who is standing right in front of Bobrovsky. Now Koivu back with it. Mikko Koivu swings it back for Lindell. Koivu. And Koskaranta will be called for a crease violation. The faceoff will come outside. And nervous moments for Marchenko in the penalty box.
There's the interference penalty called on Alexei Marchenko. The Finnish power play's been 2 for 3 today. Sebastian Aho with a one-timer of Mikhail Granlund's pass. And then Aho's going to get to the back door. Koskaranta's going to tip the Mikko Koivu shot before Ludimov can tie him up. Sebastian Aho had his second of the day.
Juuso Hietanen, who plays in this rink for Dynamo in the KHL. He's been a terrific defenseman for the Finns in this tournament.
You'd have to work hard to find one that hasn't, haven't you? This Finnish defense has been almost airtight. Hietanen really moves the puck well as an added bonus.
Finns have allowed 3 goals against in their last 5 games. Haven't allowed more than 1 since they gave up 2 to the United States. Here's Netsov. Goes to the head to Kalina. In comes Kalina. Now shovels that through the crease. And Komarov chops it back for Hietinen. 15 seconds to go on the Finnish power play. And we'll look to see the Russians empty the tank here in the last 5 minutes and a bit in the third period. Trevisto banks it down. Back goes Zaitsev for it. And Marchenko is out for the Russians. Datsuk works ahead. Barkov, or Salin rather, took that away from him. Now Orlov back for it. For Telegan. Drops it off to Datsuk. Pavel Datsuk winds in, swings it across to Telegan. Ultima knocked that away, but stolen back by Datsuk. Rink wide pass, knocked down by Yemelin. In, shoots off the stick of Scallon and wide. Ultima knockoff drive by Telegan. Now Salonen trying to chip it out. Datsuk holds the line. Flips it back in deep, finds Mosiakin. Mosiakin brings it across. The line held by Voinov. Voinov shoots through traffic. That goes wide. Yemelin steps up now. And the chant goes up again. Shaibu here in Moscow. Datsuk winds his way in, drops it off for Voinov. Voinov in, shoots, and Koskinen fights it off with a blocker. Dadonov loose behind the Finnish goal. Dadonov with it now. Drops it off to Datsuk. Datsuk spins it back. Voinov works it across. Yemelin winds and shoots, blocked by Granlund. Yemelin holds the line, shoots again. Koskinen save. Dadonov shoots. He's stopped by Koskinen, and the rebound cleared away.
Koskinen's been tested today like he hasn't been at any other time in the tournament. He's answered the bell. A fantastic evening of goaltending for Mikko Koskinen here with the Russians pressing to get within one.
Here comes that top line again. Shipachyov along with Panarin and Dadonov. Panarin shoots. That's blocked by Hietinen. Shipachyov got clipped with a high stick penalty coming down to the Finns. Play called. It was a very late call made by the referee, Joseph Kubas of Slovakia.
This was not going to be called until Shipachyov grabbed his face. The official was on the backside of the play. They're now conferring, the four of them.
Actually, the assistant will draw it up. As Narok looks on.
Well, that last power play, they were a heck of a lot more creative. They had some really good chances on goal, yet Mikko Koskinen has turned aside everything. You see 25 saves for Koskinen. A couple of beauties, one on Kuznetsov, one on Ovechkin. That one's on Voinov, and then this nice poise save by Koskinen. He spreads a 6'7" frame out to stop Dadonov just before the power play.
So here you go. A Russian power play. 3:43 to go in the third period, down by 2.
They'll keep the goaltender in. I think that's the right move. I don't like taking him out right now. You've got plenty of time here on this power play. Maybe you think if you get into the last 30 seconds of the power play or 40 seconds, you get him out then.
Datsuk, Kuznetsov, Mosiakin up front. Ovechkin and Voinov on the back end. Here's Voinov across to Ovechkin.
Oh, he's coming now.
He's going now. Bobrovsky leaves for the bench. Extra skater comes on. It's Telegan. Kuznetsov. So a 6-on-4 power play. Kuznetsov to Datsuk. Back to Kuznetsov.
Oh, Telegan's hurt. He got butchered by Otama.
He's crawling it off the ice. Ovechkin drops it back to Voinov. Telegan can't move. Ovechkin has it. And finally, play called by the official.
Adi Otama carved him when he got to the net. He got him with a pretty good slash right when he got in there. He skated from the bench, watch him come in, and he gets him right in the back of the leg. And look, he can't even get off the ice. You got it. In all likelihood, he got smacked right on the nerve on the back of your leg. That's a pretty good slash. And the official is staring right at it.
Wow.
No call made, and they're going to help get him off the ice.
And now Ovechkin is over, along with Datsuk, talking to the officials.
He'll be a good look at it. And you see him get him right on the outside of the knee. It's the first one. that buckles his leg. He's gone down the tunnel, dragging his left leg behind him.
So the faceoff comes outside because the play was blown dead with the Russians in possession.
29 seconds of the power play burned off with that whole incident.
And no penalty. And now Koivu in against Datsuk again.
Bobrovsky goes back in the net with the draw outside the blue line.
Ultima drops it back and fired down the ice by Kivisto. 3 minutes to go here in the third period. Bobrovsky is inching out as Datsuk brings it ahead. Bobrovsky goes again. Kuznetsov drops for Ovechkin. He was out of the zone. And the Russians will have to regroup.
I'm not sure how he wasn't at the play. They were in the zone. He's got to get up into the play.
Kuznetsov drops it off for Datsuk. Pavel Datsuk. With Yubimov standing in front, Kuznetsov feeds it back, takes the return pass from Voinov. Kuznetsov, Voinov works in, across he goes, Kuznetsov shoots, off the leg it goes of Kivisto. 45 seconds to go in the Russian power play, and the Finns fire it down the ice.
Don't have any stats in front of us of the number of block shots the Finns have had today, but they have done an amazing job of keeping the puck away from Mikko Koskinen.
Now Voinov winds his way in. Vyacheslav Voinov goes rink wide, held at the line by Dodonov. Ozyakin couldn't handle it. Yakula trying to clear it, gets some help as Pierella sends it down.
There's nothing happening here for the Russians.
Under 2 to go now in the third period. The Russian net is empty. They're on the power play. Panarin squeezes that around. Yakula on his backhand, throws it down into the Russian zone and just misses the empty net. One shot on goal for the Russians on that power play. Ovechkin winds his way in. Alexander Ovechkin shoots, and the glove save made by Koskinen.
The Russians have had 11 shots. They've had all of the play in this period, yet their power play has just been a disaster for them today. 0 for 5, just 5 shots on goal on the 5 power plays. The Finns penalty killers, Mikko Koskinen, and the Finnish power play with 2 goals have been the difference today.
Finns trailed in this game for the first time in this tournament, gave up an early goal, and it looked like the Russians might cave them in the first 10 minutes of the first period.
They never touched the puck in the first 6 or 7 minutes. They couldn't get it. They just iced it when they did get it.
That remains empty. Ovechkin to Orlov. Swings it down to Kuznetsov. Russians need shots. They need them now. Orlov to Kuznetsov. Works in, shoots. It's fired wide with clean and screening. Now Ovechkin can't hold the line. 80 seconds to go in the third period. Orlov up ahead to Datsuk. Datsuk back on it. Kivisto squeezed him off the puck. Ultima to Komarov and bangs it down the ice. And now Barkov comes on along with Jokinen and Granlund. Orlov winds his way in, and a minute to go here in the third period. Loose puck goes to Ovechkin, pokes it back in front. The bouncing puck scooped up by Granlund. He'll fire it down. This will be an icing call against the Finns with 46 seconds to go in the third period.
Really strong play defensively by Jussi Jokinen as Ovechkin gets the puck to the right of the net and he wants to chip it to the front, but it's Jokinen who leans on his stick, denies him access to the front of the net, and they clear it down. To come in to Russia to play the host, and then you advance to the finals for the Finns, a most satisfactory day if they can pull through the last 45 seconds.
Ovechkin pounded that high and wide, gets it back along wrist shot. Koskinen save, he juggles it and hangs on.
We've talked a lot about players that might get a look in the NHL. Mikko Koskinen, as we mentioned, Gord played 4 NHL games in 2011 for the New York Islanders, a second-round pick in 2009. He's been tremendous in this tournament. 6'7", 210 pounds. He's had a number 1 looking tournament. Will a team in North America take a crack?
Face off, won by Koivu. Battle forward in front, loose puck. Oh, what a stop by Koskinen. Point blank, Koskinen makes the stop on Shipachyov. Wow. And now an empty net for Komarov, lifts it wide. 20 seconds to go in the third period. In the first 5 minutes, it sounded like this crowd might blow the roof off this building. Shipachyov works it back towards the goal, picked off by Koivu. 10 seconds to go. He'll play it out, and the Finns, who have dominated international hockey all year, will get a chance to go for gold here in Moscow on Sunday. A last chance for Dadonov. He's turned away, and the Finns have won it 3-1. And tomorrow night, they'll have a chance to be the first team to win the under-18s, the World Junior, and the World Championship in the same year. 3-1 the final score. Finland will face the winner of Canada and the United States for the gold medal at the 2016 Worlds tomorrow night.